It's a beautiful Monday morning. You're listening to the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. We love music and we definitely love life. Time to get into the papers, take a look at the headlines and making the rounds in the dailies across Nigeria. This is Freshly Pressed. It's an interactive session where we love to get your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions on the stories that we'll be taking this morning. So you can always come through and share them with us on WhatsApp. The number is 0809 444 981. 0809 444 0981. If you're just tuning in for the first time, you're almost welcome. Just share your name and your location in the message as well. You can also join us on the live stream on YouTube. We're at Smooth 981 FM Lagos, Smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can drop a comment there as well. I'm not alone on this journey at all. This morning, Mr. C and AB Bozimo are my analysts for a Monday morning. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Great to have you on once again.
Good morning, Mr. C. Good morning, Ayo, and good morning to all of the wonderful listeners out there. Let's make this a money-making Monday.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, AB. Good morning, Lagos, and the rest of our listeners. Edo State,
Edo State, it definitely is. Well, elections over the weekend on Saturday, and of course, it has been the usual back and forth stories, and so on and so forth, as we seem to be used to in Nigeria. And that's where we're going to begin with the stories this morning. Taking this out of the punch, Mr. C, I'm bringing this to your doorstep. Now, the People's Democratic Party have kicked against the result of Saturday's governorship election in Edo State, which ushered in the All Progressives Congress candidate, Senator Monday Okpebholo, as the new governor of the state. Now, Adamawa State Governor Amadu Fintiri, who's the chairman the Edo State Governorship Election National Campaign Council on Sunday, stated that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, should be held accountable for violating the Electoral Act. Now, Okpebholo came in first with 291,667 votes to defeat PDP's Asuye Godalo, who came in second with 247,274 votes, and the Labour Party's Olumide Akpata, who emerged third with 22,763 votes.
Okay, thank you. So, an election, or what was purported to be an election, was conducted on Saturday by INEC. Now, we've heard the results as declared by them, and it is crystal clear that just as Arsenal fans continue to wonder when, the rest of Nigerians continue to wonder when INEC would get the conduct of elections properly. Now, it must be pointed out that, first of all, turnout was less than 30% of registered voters. Now, that is very instructive. It then means 2/3 of the registered voters did not come out because they had little or no faith in the electoral process as superintended by INEC. Now, of the 1/3 that came out, we all saw reports of all sorts of shenanigans, from alleged vote buying to alleged voter intimidation to very strange result sheets that were popping up all over the place. In some places, result sheets did not get to the polling units. In some places, polling continued long after the time allotted for it should have stopped, and on and on. We even had reports of the governor visiting the INEC state office at Godly Ann, and he said he wanted to find out what was going on. Now, a winner has been declared, and frankly speaking, it is well for the people of Edo State, because this is a candidate who didn't impress a lot of people, even within his own party. But yes, he's been declared winner. I'm not going to say congratulations, because clearly there's going to be an election petition. That is very clear. Now, beyond the immediate facade of an election, there is a bigger problem. And what is that bigger problem? The majority of Nigerians have little or no faith in the ability, desire, or competence of INEC to conduct anything remotely resembling a proper election. You would think that this is a standalone election. They have no other engagements distracting them or confusing them, and they would get this right. Given that from the last elections last year, which left a very bitter taste in the mouths of some Nigerians, you would think that INEC would have improved. It is now clear that they lack the ability, the desire, or the intention to improve. Now, where does that leave us as a nation? Because we have fallen so badly, it's ridiculous. Between 1971 and 1977, the average monthly income for middle class Nigerians was $5,000 a month. Today, the annual income for the average Nigerian is $1,500. Let me break that down even simpler. The average Nigerian earns $125 a month, and that is someone who's trying, because 177 million Nigerians live in multi-dimensional poverty. So beyond the immediate facade of elections, one party wins, the other party didn't win, where are we going as a nation? In 2014, our economy was worth $512 billion. Almost a decade later, it's worth 285 billion. So beyond all of this, what are we as a people doing? Do we really understand where we are now as a nation? Do we really understand where we're headed to? Because we've been plummeting for the longest time possible. We've literally lost a decade of our collective existence. And all we'll continue to hear is INEC did this, INEC didn't do that, this party did this party didn't do that. These are distractions. The bigger issue is this. What is the fate for the average Nigerian? What is the fate for the average Nigerian who's finishing secondary school? What is the fate for the average Nigerian who's finishing university? We have farmers who cannot go and farm for whatever reason. We have insecurity all over the place. We have shenanigans between NNPCL and Dangote Refinery. We're unable to understand why the petrol prices are that high. We're unable to understand what the petrol price will be in October. We're unable to understand why the NNPCL owes so much. There's so many things we do not understand. Government officials do what they like, act with impunity, and we're fixated on the minors. We continue to major in the minors. Nigerians, we need to wake up collectively and decide what we want our future to be. We're the only ones who can make that decision. That's point the way forward. If you cannot leave it to the political class, because time and time again, they have shown that they're not really interested in the collective general interests of Nigerians.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. C. Before going to the next story, I just need to weigh in on this one. And I just want to ask you, are we ever going to get to a point in Nigeria where we have elections that are not, fraught with irregularities and opposition parties going to court and so on and so forth? Will we ever have an electoral process where it'll be smooth and opposition can say, this was a smooth election and the opposition party definitely won hands down? Can we ever get to that point?
The key word in your question there is fraught with irregularities, because elections, by their nature, are contentious, and sometimes contending parties have a position. The problem we seem to be facing in Nigeria is that the vast majority of our electoral system is fraught with irregularities, from late arrivals, pieces of paper that seem to have no bearing on the actual election conduct, issues that collation, it goes on and on. But back to what Mr. C said, the problem too, exactly, we have parties contending, we have politicians contending. What hurts so much is that our political class is so lacking in ambition and imagination. I say that because you can contend for office, for authority, for power. When you get it, by means fair or foul, what are your goals? Apart from eating pepper soup and going to COP 18 or COP 28, what else do these people want? They have such low mentalities. So they enter office and they cannot even raise the country, because honestly, to enter office and have the perks of office is a desire of most humanity. But in other places that we claim we want to aspire to be like, they enter office, and while aspiring to the perks, at least they make the basic society function. That is the problem. The lack of imagination and ambition, and of course, competence, managerial competence of a political class. So I don't know when our elections are going to mean anything, but beyond that, when are we as a people going to mean enough to ourselves to say, setting the political class aside, and it's not very hard to do because they're so influential right now, how do we thrive within this mess that we have found ourselves?
Thank you for that, AB. I'm going to stay with you on this one. We're going to talk about petroleum issues. I mean, that has been a recurring theme. So, see, alluded to NNPCL, Dangote Refinery, and so on and so forth. And that's where we are going to pitch our tent at the moment, still staying in the punch. Now, with the right interventions by the federal government, the pump price of petrol produced by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery may crash below 600 naira per liter. That's according to crude oil refiners. Now, the publicity secretary of the Crude Oil Refiners Association of Nigeria, H.A. Ayokunmi, he told the Sunday Punch in an interview that the association still has a strong belief that local refineries like Dangote and others can bring down the cost of petrol. Now, Idoko said the 898 naira per liter claimed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited as the price it bought petrol from Dangote reflected the rising exchange rate.
There are simply too many numbers and not enough transparency surrounding this issue of petroleum in Nigeria. I maintain that this information should be fed into a simple spreadsheet, either Excel or Google Sheets, where you put in the price you buy fuel, you add assorted things, and you come up with a final cost that should reflect at the pump. We're hearing them saying that with the right interventions, it may. I don't care about all these propositions. What are the actual, and then they're talking about crashing. 600 naira is not a crash, really? Well, when you put it side by side with the wrecked exchange rate, you can call it a crash from the current 1,000 plus. But there is not enough clarity. And I think some people take delight in making these things seem more complicated than they need to. An elementary school student can formulate the spreadsheet that can give us the actual truth and bounce it against. So let's go back to this exchange rate. Why is the exchange rate so poor? Back to this political class. What does the political class actually do to create more productivity and security for Nigeria to be a productive nation? Nothing. They want to import jeeps. They want to go abroad. They want to take extra code. You look at some government documents that are leaked, you find the governor asking for billions to go for a 5-day trip out of the country. He goes there, he does nothing, says less, and comes back and his people are impoverished. So we're talking about a political class that has, I don't know that it ever had its way, but it has lost its way because Nigerians are literally some of the most productive human beings on the surface of planet Earth. And this can be seen anywhere you see Nigerians outside of that construct called Nigeria. Nigerians are known for intellect, intelligence, hard work. But there in Nigeria, the context brings out the least use of Nigerians. And that is why we don't have competitive, productive facilities, etc. Our political class is directly responsible for the rising interest rate and the lower productivity, and of course, the insecurity around us, because they're contending over the minors, as Mr. Sia said. They're battling over irrelevant things. Who can pull more crowd, more sway, and all that? That's irrelevant. I just think this fuel price is going to go on and on. But when they say local refiners, the number one local refiner should be the NNPC. It possesses 4, count them, 4 different refineries. So when we keep talking about one refinery in the coast in Lekki extent, there are 4 others around the country. Why is NNPC not making them work? Leave Dangote alone. If he wants to have expensive fuel, it is his right. He's a businessman. NNPC should do what it needs to do to make fuel. accessible, and affordable. And if he's not doing that, people should be sacked one by one. I say it looks, they should be sacking them one by one, and then they should sack President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the Minister of Petroleum role he has taken, because clearly he lacks the ability, capacity, and competence to do anything useful in that office.
All right, thank you, Evie. Let's take a quick breather right here. When we come back and take more stories on Freshly Pressed right here on Smooth 98.1. Don't go anywhere.
This guy is funny. Have you read this comment? So this is Ebby. Someone sent in a comment saying that local politics, local events influence the Edo elections. Yes, that is possible. However, that candidate is not a sellable candidate. I'm sorry. Someone who struggled to express himself in simple English. It was a real struggle.
Look, Bielsa just missed the similar thing by a hair's breadth the last time. So wow. This time they've done it in the Edo. So it's Edo people that God bless them all, as you said.
All right. All right, welcome back to Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. Come through and share your thoughts on the stories that we've been talking about this morning. Edo elections and so on and so forth. 0809-444-0981 is the WhatsApp number. Also streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos, Smooth 981 FM Lagos, AB, and of course, Mr. C are analyzing the stories with me this morning. Let me take a few messages before we get back into the stories, Mr. C. Yomi from Surulere says, concerning the Edo elections, the people of Edo State cast their votes influenced by the local dynamics and recent events within the state and not national issues, like Mr. C keeps hammering on. The governor's refusal to swear in judges, his conflict with the Oba, and his disputes with his deputy and Oshomole, as well as tensions with the influential party members like Wike, all played significant roles. Each of these figures commands a substantial following, and the outcome we witness is a reflection of these factors. In politics, it ultimately comes down to the numbers. All right. Thank you for your thoughts. Kazim says, good morning, my people. Why the Arsenal straight bullets early this morning? I'm sorry, Kazim, but it is what it is at the end of the day. The game is the game, as they say. Tony from Ikeja says, it's obvious that the Nigerian democracy has been turned to a comedy show. Those who reap the maximum benefits are the comedians in politics. APC is all out to finish what the PDP couldn't finish. All right. Idima Puza says, APC government is dishing out hardship as dividends of democracy to Nigerians, yet they're winning all elections all over Nigeria. No, would you be that? Citizens are impoverished to the extent of selling their conscience for money during elections. God, please come to Nigeria to help us. I don't think God is going to come down to Nigeria to actually help us.
Doing real things.
Not going to happen. Ajayi Olunluwa says, it's a declaration of economic war on the hapless masses for government to prevent Dangote refinery from selling its petrol at a lower price, even as the sing song before now is that local refining of petrol will eliminate subsidy and bring down prices. All right, Mr. C, let's get back into the conversation, heading into the premium times. It's about flooding, and more flooding once again. The Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency, NIHSA, has raised concerns about rising water levels along the River Benue Basin, warning of potential flooding of neighboring states soon. I mean, 13 states have been identified as possibly facing this particular issue. I mean, this is a continuation of the conversation from last week, looking at what happened in Borno and all. Now, the North Central and Northeastern states are in the eye of the storm. No pun intended whatsoever. Mr. C.
Some Nigerians lost their lives and thousands more are impoverished. They're out of their homes and they're now in IDP camps all over the state. Now, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency has warned that 13 states are at the risk of severe flooding because the water levels along the River Benue Basin have risen to alarming levels. Now, what does this portend? Nigeria is dealing with a lot of things simultaneously. And I dare say if a quarter of this happened in any serious country, a lot of heads will roll, and then serious long-term measures will be put in place. Now we're still dealing with the aftermath of the border incident. And there's in previous years, we've had people who've been displaced from their homes, lost their properties, lost their means of livelihood because of flooding. Now 13 states are affected. The first question I have is the Nigerian Environmental Management Agency, NEMA, are they liaising, are they collaborating with the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency with a means to ensure planning or getting in front of all of this? I don't know if they are, so I'm not going to speculate. The respective state versions of NEMA, are they also talking to the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency? Again, we don't know. Because what it is this warning has come out. These 13 states affected will play the ostrich.
We've been asking residents to relocate to higher ground.
So here's the question. You're asking residents to relocate to higher ground. Relocation comes with a cost. Forget the emotional and psychological cost. It comes with a financial monetary cost. If the people affected simply do not have the means economically to relocate, how is that supposed to happen? And then you say relocate to higher ground. Higher ground being what? So just relocate to where? So it's not as if you've arranged temporary accommodation or shelter. You just say relocate. It doesn't convey any meaning to me. So I wonder how to convey any meaning to them. And then is there a plan for this relocation? Are you even trying to help them? Okay, for those, have you even indicated that those who have a difficulty trying to relocate should kindly indicate so that they will be assisted in relocating? Then long term, what are the plans in place to ensure that we stop reading stories like this, we stop analyzing stories like this? We're not the only country with river basins with this sort of issues. Venice is a city on water. How have they done it? It's not rocket science. Nobody is asking Nigeria to reinvent the wheel. How have people, serious-minded people in other climes, dealt with issues like this? So why do we continue to make it look like it's something that we are perpetually bound to live with? So again, question, and then the federal minister for environment, I wonder what he's doing in all of this.
Questions and more questions, as we always say.
In the story, they say the agency advised immediate preventive measures. Talking about immediate, I've said this before. Nigeria has 2 seasons, rainy and dry season. It happens once a year on average. So you cannot tell me that in 64 years, it is immediately knee-jerk reactions we're trying to put in place. But you are relocating from a house. First of all, have we even identified the floodplains in our various cities and states? And then put a ban on human habitation there. And then replan our cities appropriately. We haven't done that, but it comes, and then we now say really good. Meanwhile, each governor comes, the first thing they do is go and build one massive, expensive governor's lodge without putting any plans in place for social housing. These are deficiencies in our political thinking.
Right. Joseph Menye says, congratulations to Edo State citizens. The rest of Nigeria wish you all the best for the next 4 or 8 years. The truth be said, there are consequences for manipulating, rigging, vote buying, and honestly, it's a long road to freedom. The sequel to the Nollywood movie Living in Bondage. May God help us. JP says, number 1, crude oil prices being low. Number 2, FX rates dropping. Number 3, discounted FX or crude price. These are the indices NMDPRA should share a guide, and let's move. Cheers to you as well. JP Rexy says, Nigerians are deciding their future as we type. There are no saints in our midst. Who we are is what happened in Edo over the weekend. Same with Kogi and Bayelsa last year. This is who we are, and we're making the best out of it. The parties don't matter. They are all the same. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. 13, this is Shola. Shola says 13 states, that's 1/3 of Nigeria. So 1/3 should relocate to 2/3. I mean, like I said, do the math. All right, AB. Let's head into the Nigerian Tribune real quick, and let's talk about Ajaokuta and steel and so on. Now, the member representing Ajaokuta Federal Constituency in the Green Chamber of the National Assembly, Honorable Sani Abdulrahim, has praised President Bola Tinubu for signing a memorandum of understanding for the rehabilitation of Ajaokuta Steel Company and the National Iron Ore Mining Company in Itakbe. Now, the member also commended the Minister of Steel Development, Shaibu Audu, and noted that the effective and commercial operation of the Ajaokuta Steel Company will signal the industrial revolution in Nigeria. Industrial revolution. Sounds exciting.
Please, can we just stop this kind of waste of time headlines? You are hailing somebody who signed something that it will, it can, it should, it shall. I really wake up in the morning and I feel it's a waste of our collective time to see a headline where a lawmaker who is earning extreme amounts of money is coming to fundamentally do eye service so that he gets into the headlines with the name Tinubu in his mouth for signing an MOU. This is not a story. And the newspapers should be responsible. When I see the first of many moves put in place that actually indicate that the process proposed is underway, we can revisit a story like this. I can't even be bothered to Google and find out when Ajaokuta started, how long it has been there, has been wasted in that ordeal, Nigerian ordeal. So coming to tell me that he is hailing Tinubu's move to revive, and what was the move? He signed an MOU on one A4 piece of paper. I will send him an A4 piece of paper. He can hail me too. It is as effective as nothing to tell me that an MOU has been signed. I'm sorry. These kinds of stories do not offer one element of execution. Without execution, all of the rest of it is air, hot steam, and empty. It's empty. So please, I'm not even going to bother to talk about the other things he said. I can understand what to talk about foreign exchange earning, generating employment, but all I'm seeing here is a piece of paper and one more we shall, we could, we may, irrelevant.
Okay, so let me quickly jump in on this. I agree totally with AB. Whatever this move from the lawmaker is at best premature. There are no timelines, nothing, no milestones, nothing set. So I'm wondering what the congratulations are for. And like AB rightly said, an MOU is not even worth the paper it's printed on because there are no legally binding obligations created. So I'm wondering what exactly he's happy about. And because of this, I'm going to look out for that guy in the Green Chamber and find out what he's done in the past 15 months.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. C. Let's take messages as we round up on the conversation this morning. Michael says, blame not INEC, rather blame the Nigerian individual. Okay, that's concerning the elections in Edo State. Barrister Daniel Kuda says, the entire political class has failed this country. The future of Nigeria looks so bleak. Excuse me. Tony from Marine Beach says, with alleged massive rigging, vote buying, and the involvement of law enforcement agents, it's clear that neither our politicians nor INEC is ready to allow Nigerians breathe. I fear for 2027 because I'm not sure Nigerians are ready to take this ravaging hunger anymore. The 2020 Edonobi Lagos version may be uploading for Nigeria. As for the continuous fuel palaver, it's not about capacity of anyone to perform, but it's now shown to be a clear conspiracy of the elites against the Nigerian people, with a bad signal coming from the Edo election. 2027 will indeed be interesting. This is from Yomi says, under 2 years, it took over 40 years to renegotiate the agreement with the original contractors for the Ajaokuta Steel project, a delay that had long stalled its progress. However, President Tinubu achieved this milestone in less than 2 years in office, demonstrating decisive leadership and commitment to resolving one of Nigeria's longest-standing industrial challenges. Recognizing his efforts is not misplaced, as this breakthrough could finally unlock the economic potential that Ajaokuta Steel has promised for decades. Leadership that delivers tangible results deserves acknowledgement, and this is a prime example of swift action yielding long-awaited progress. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Deji from Allen Avenue says, the former Edo governor is almost an emperor, insulted quite a number of important personnel, and sacked the state's legislative arm including paralyzing his own executive cabinet by refusing to appoint some commissioners. He pressed all the wrong buttons and incited violence to retain power. It's important that he was defeated. Edo is now Lagos after all. Okay, thank you for that. And thank you all for sharing your messages this morning. Thank you so much, Mr. C and AB, for joining me to take a look at this story. It's always a great time having you on the show.
Thank you. I wish the good people of Edo all the best. And of course, we as Nigerians really must determine what we want our future to be. Entire generations of people are being wasted. People who were 10 years old, after 8 years are 18, with less prospects than when they were 10 years old. It's a travesty, it's a tragedy, it's a national shame.
Thank you for having me. And this goes out to the good people of Ondo State and INEC. INEC, for once, proved me wrong. I want to be proven wrong. Try and conduct an election that is credible.
All right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Mr. C. I thank you all for all the messages this morning on Freshly Pressed. Keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. We'll take a walk into the